Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Royal Canadian Dragoons annual celebration of the liberation of Lee Warden. This marks the 77th anniversary of the liberation of Lee Warden. The Regimental Sergeant Major Chief Warrant Officer Stéphane Larouche has formed up the parade and is waiting for the Regimental Operations Officer. Captain Colin McNaughton, the Regimental Operations Officer, will now take over the parade. Major Steve Bois, Regimental Second in Command of the Royal Canadian Dragoons, will now take over the parade. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the Colonel of the Regiment, Major General Retired Dean Milner.
Junior Colonel Regiment, General salute! Salute! Untitled Chapter!
At this time, I would like to invite Chaplain Coxworth to offer the regimental prayer.
Can I use the podium?
Of course.
Thank you. For 77 years, we have carried in our collective memory the lives saved in Leeuwarden. We are starkly reminded these days, both by the nightly news and the absence of many who should be here, that peace and health and well-being cannot be taken for granted. It can feel at times that history is bound to repeat itself and that we have no say over it. And yet moments like these, ones that tie us both to the past and to others so far away, serve as a way to ground ourselves in the larger narrative of history. It is our hope that in being reminded of past events, we will be prepared to meet new challenges with the excellence and discipline of those who, 77 years ago, changed a town's future forever. In the way that best aligns with your conscience and tradition, please join me for a moment of silent reflection. Following this, the Dragoons' Invocation will be read. We are thankful for the challenges of this life. Where there is doubt, despair, or oppression, may we be used as instruments of goodwill. Inspire us to give our best in the cause of truth and goodness, and to take every opportunity to serve others. Make us bold and swift in defense of our nation and our allies as we dedicate ourselves to the welfare of humanity, the preservation of justice, and love through the good we may do. Let us be bringers of a renewed hope that brightens the present, lightens the future. Even as we fight on behalf of others, keep us mindful to care for our families, ourselves, and one another, upholding excellence in all areas of our lives. Let us wear the cloak of privilege lightly, stand confidently in the places of honor, and communicate our values in the way we live and fight. May we be strong in virtue, firm in time of trouble, always ready to help others in time of need.
I will now read the action from the Battle of Lee Warden. In early April of 1945, the 1st Canadian Army was advancing north through Holland against stiff resistance. The Germans fought stubbornly, knowing that defeat was only a matter of time. Their escape routes to the east were blocked by the 4th Canadian and the 1st Polish Armoured Divisions. Having no other alternative, the Germans fell back on the North Sea. But here, their retreat was hampered by Allied airborne troops who dropped behind enemy lines and seized bridges, ferries, and airfields. The Royal Canadian Dragoons were involved in wide encircling movements that cut deep into the enemy positions and guarded the flanks of the 2nd Division. On 11 April, the hard-fought-for breakthrough of German lines was achieved. There was no opportunity for rest. At Mildam, D Squadron forced the bridgehead over the Fournier Canal during a bitter 5-hour struggle. They were joined by B Squadron, who fought a series of sharp local actions, capturing stores, equipment, and prisoners. Actions of this nature continued for the next few days. During the night of 14-15 April, word was received of bitter fighting in the Lee Warden between the Dutch resistance forces and the German garrison. Immediately, C and HQ squadrons set out to reinforce the Dutch patriots. They entered the city at 11 a.m. in the fine drizzle of rain and found the streets deserted, except for groups of armed Dutchmen. The Dutch and Germans were still exchanging gunfire over the rooftops, but with the approach of the staghounds and dingoes of the Dragoons, the Germans withdrew hastily. Cheering crowds soon filled the streets, national flags were flown, and the Dutch embraced the Canadians. The Dragoons, cheered and celebrated by the citizens, turned over the supplies and foodstuffs of the German occupation garrison. HQ Squadron remained in Lee Warden, while C Squadron moved east to assist D Squadron in the Battle of Groningen. Since that day, every April 15th, the town of Lee Warden flies the camp flag of the Royal Canadian Dragoons. As well, the Royal Canadian Dragoons, wherever we are deployed internationally, fly the flag of the City of Leeuwarden. The Colonel of the Regiment, Major General Milner, will now address the parade.
Okay, Dragoon. Stand down. Easy. Stand easy.
Can you hear me all right? I probably don't need this, but I'll take it. Can you hear me better? Okay. Good morning. First of all, it's great to see everybody. And before I talk about Lee Warden, I just wanted to congratulate those that got promoted, the CD medals and a couple of the tour medals. So it's always great to see. A lot of those all of them are significant ranks. And it was a real pleasure for me to partake in that, and I congratulate every one of you for those significant accomplishments. Great stuff. I'd also just like to point out A Squadron. I mean, all of the squadrons are doing some great work, but we had the Friends of the Regiment here, and I never got a chance to actually talk to the troops. But an extremely well-run day out in the field about a week and a half ago. Hats off to the OC, Sergeant Major, and the troops, because I'll tell you, the professionalism, the passion for what you do in each of your different positions was really well recognized by those friends that joined us, and it was just an outstanding day for them, and they thank you, and also continuing into the family day that happened just after that. So thank you very much for some great work there. So Lee Warden, I'd like to recognize this family, and can you come out just a little bit? Come on, right out here. This fine gentleman right here, Mr. Ringer Van Dyke, and his family, his daughter, and 2 sons. So Mr. Van Dyke was born in Leeuwarden in 1944, in that great town that we liberated. It's his first time to join us, and just the camaraderie that we've developed through the years, it's just great to see, and it's a real honor and privilege to have you join us for this particular celebration of our 77th anniversary. So it's great to have you. They've flown in from Guyana, just a little hop, skip, and a jump across the world. So again, it is tremendous to have you and your family as daughters at Guelph here in Canada, but it is really great to have you. Don White would love to have been here with you today. I spoke to Don a couple days ago, 97. He was in one troop, the 1st Staghound, that arrived in Leeuwarden. Tremendous young trooper. He's visited this regiment so many times. He's been over to Holland. He's become a great friend of the Dutch, and he absolutely passes his best. What a soldier. He impresses me every time I talk to him. He's got more stories, because again, it was more than Leeuwarden, and I'll talk about that. We're actually, I think, Kevin, trying to film this, and what I'd like to do just to recognize him, because he was this close to coming, this close, 97, but he's on an oxygen bottle. We were supposed to take him also to Holland, but we didn't end up doing that. But I'd like to give him 3 cheers. For, again, his great service to country, his part of the big Leeuwarden, and just being that great Dragoon he is. I'm going to visit him in about a week and a half, and but just a tremendous soldier. Just after me, I'll say hip hip, and you guys say hurrah. Hip hip!
Hurrah!
Hip hip!
Hurrah!
Hip hip! Hurrah! That's for you, Don. Great soldier that you are, and I look forward to seeing you in a little bit. Thank you. So we celebrate Leeuwarden, and just to put it into context, it's we've got a number of battle celebrations that we can celebrate. But this particular one, it's even a little bit more than Leeuwarden, because the Dragoons were given that task as a spearhead reconnaissance in front of 2 Canadian infantry divisions to clear out Friesland. So it was a lot more than Leeuwarden. We were staghounds at the time and dingoes. And I look at, you know, what we have today, there are comparisons. You know, TAP V, LAV 6s. We were cavalry. So we led from the front. The Germans were in retreat, but once we crossed the line of departure, they were everywhere. The Germans were literally everywhere. So we fought through the villages, up the black tracks, reconnoitering everywhere we needed to go. So it wasn't a simple fight. And in a lot of ways it had a bit of an Afghanistan, where you just didn't know where the enemy was going to be. So the significance of the cavalry, the reconnaissance, was absolutely paramount because it led those 2 divisions. Every town had to be fought for, every little black track, every little village. Again, so some significant efforts, exploits from our Dragoons. Quite often, and I mentioned this, a big fan of the NCOs, the echelons would get separated from the lead troops. A lot of times we had to, the sergeant majors with their echelons had to dismount and fight to get to the frontline troops to feed, support, provide that ammunition. A lot of those were the soldiers that won the medals, the big medals. So again, a significant fight. We repulsed a German amphibious invasion that came from the islands. The Germans were doing everything they could to make sure that it was not going to be easy for the Dragoons and the Canadians to take Friesland and to take towns like Leeuwarden. So some significant events, and I really wanted to emphasize that because you look at what you're doing today and how we're training as cavalry, it really does take you back in time. And again, it's just great to celebrate a significant battle like that. The town of Leeuwarden, I was fortunate to go there for the 40th anniversary. And I'll tell you, the bond that we've developed with the Dutch, it is absolutely unbelievable. We went there and they just took care of us like no other. We were billeted into houses and we were taking care of us. They paraded us through the streets, and it was just recognition of us liberating that great town and the surrounding area. So we've got a really, really close bond with the Dutch, and in particular Leeuwarden. General Atkinson's over there as we speak. As you know, we couldn't take the soldiers because of this bloody COVID, but we had 5 soldiers that we paid for, and we're still going to do that. I don't know where you are, but we're going to do that next year. I still want to go. I absolutely want to do that, to take you over there, but probably Tom Skelding and maybe the COR and RSM, I don't know, but again, it's a significant place for us to remember. So, but anyway, it's great to see you. It is a proud day, and it's a very, very proud liberation of that great town, and it's great to see you, Ringer, and your family, and to be able to share this with you today. So proud of everything you guys do, you guys and gals, and I know that after this we'll get a chance to share a barbecue together, and then it's a nice Easter weekend. But thanks for all you do, and congratulations to this well-run event for Leeuwarden. Thank you. Carry on.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the departure of the Colonel of the Regiment.